So we've seen these molecules before, and we've noticed that they have these names, kinase and phosphatase. What exactly does a kinase do? What exactly does a phosphatase do? Well, a kinase is going to add a phosphate group. So as you'll notice, when this MCDK is active, it is going to interact with the CDC25 phosphatase, and it's going to add this phosphate group right here. It's just denoted by the letter P. And then this ends up activating this particular protein. A phosphatase is the opposite of a kinase. A phosphatase removes phosphates. CDC25 phosphatase removes phosphate groups from MCDK. And on MCDK, having these two phosphate groups is inhibitory. It prevents this protein complex from being active. So we could take a couple of things away from this. One is that the function of a kinase is to add phosphate groups. The function of a phosphatase is to remove phosphate groups. Another thing is that whether or not a phosphate group being bound to a protein makes it active is dependent on the protein. So some proteins need a phosphate group to be active. Other proteins, having a phosphate group makes them inactive. It's completely dependent upon the particular protein, and so this is something you're going to have to memorize. I'm not going to ask you to memorize a whole bunch of these, but you should know that CDC25 phosphatase is only active if it has a phosphate group, whereas MCDK is the opposite. When it has phosphate groups bound, then it's going to be inactive. It needs those removed in order to become active.